Laura Sykes. I'm an author of Australian fiction. Today I just wanted to read to you an excerpt from chapter 4 of one of my novels. It's called A Change in the Dreaming. It's available through all the good online retailers as an ebook or print copies from Amazon, or get in touch with me directly. March 2014. There was a dull thud as I threw my overnight bag and rolled up swag into the back of the ute, climbing into the cab. I revved the engine, shifted into gear and pulled out onto the street. It was early, the morning fog not yet lifted. When it did, the spectacular autumn foliage would glow in the first light of the sun, turning the sleepy city into a vibrant canvas of reds, oranges and yellows. I would be well out of town by then. Chilly condensation fogged the windscreen, blocking all my vision. Reaching down, my frozen fingers fumbled until they found the heater switch and turned it up full blast. Stifling a yawn, I reached for the travel mug of hot coffee in the drink holder beside me. I didn't normally drink the stuff, but I hadn't gotten any sleep last night after yesterday, and I really didn't want to fall asleep at the wheel. The coffee burnt my tongue, sticking in the back of my throat. I grimaced. "That's disgusting," I grumbled to myself, then took another sip. I'd made it too strong, but by the time I pulled out onto the New England highway near the airport, there's a fly on my nose. I could already feel the caffeine kicking in. The roads were devoid of traffic. It seemed no one else wanted to get up at 5:30 in the morning on a Sunday. By the time I got to the outskirts of Tamworth, the sun was climbing higher in the sky, bathing the landscape with warmth. I wound the windows down, reveling in the breeze that played with my hair. I reached into the glove box, fumbled around until I found a CD and slipped it into the disc player. Music exploded through the speakers, the sudden volume making me jump. Quickly, I turned it down to a level that wouldn't split my eardrums and let the music carry my mind away. Autopilot took over as I drove, watching the rolling hills and plains flash by, every now and then passing a cottage or farm gate. I rolled the windows up just before I climbed the range at Murrundi and switched the fan on to circulate. I'd almost forgotten why I'd developed this habit. When I reached the top of the hill, I was reminded by the view of smog and airborne dust that sat heavy on the landscape. The Upper Hunter that I remembered from my childhood, clean and beautiful, was now marred by more and more mines and the pollution they brought with them, creeping ever closer to the roads and towns in search of more coal. I stopped in Muswellbrook to pick up a few groceries. I had no idea what I might find when I finally reached the house, and I knew it was unlikely that there would be any food there after all this time. Neither my sister nor I had been there since our parents passed away, and that was years ago. 40 minutes later, I pulled up at the gateway to the property. Butterflies awoke in my stomach, the sudden nerves making my palms itch and tingle with sweat. I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles turning white with the pressure. The seatbelt clicked as I undid the buckle and opened the door. I climbed out of the ute and walked towards the gate latch, carefully tiptoeing my way over the cattle grid so I wouldn't slip between the bars and break my ankle. The gate creaked and groaned when it swung open, the rusty hinges protesting loudly. The driveway was a long one. Eventually the house came into view. My breath caught in my throat at the sight of my childhood home. I pulled up and got out of the car, letting the door slam shut as I stared at the building in front of me. My fingers trailed across the front gate. Once a smooth white, the bent pipe frame was now a jigsaw of flaking paint and invading rust. Oh, come on. The gate didn't budge when I pushed at it. After a few more tries, I gave up, clambering over the timber rail fence instead. The path to the front door was barely visible beneath the overgrown lavender that lined the edges. The rest of the garden was taken up by the ancient fig tree that had carpeted the yard with years' worth of fallen leaves, while a thriving jungle of geraniums and roses threatened to overtake the veranda. The house itself was Federation style, painted a fading and chipped eggshell blue, and much smaller than it was in my memories. I looked up at the facade, taking in every crack, every peeling piece of paint, every cobweb that had taken up residence in the corners. My fingers hovered over the door handle. Once I opened it, there would be no going back. No running and hiding in the story I had created for myself. The whitewashed metal was cold to the touch, the knob holding fast as my fingers tightened and twisted. My brow furrowed. I hadn't figured it would be locked after all these years. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this small excerpt. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram. If you feel like having a chat or checking out more, feel free to get in touch with me. I'm always happy to hear from people. Hopefully I'll see you around soon. Bye. Thanks for listening. Ugh, damn flies.